Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
And I'm Ricky Taylor, reviewing two versions of The Key by Haba.
The Key. The Key is a series from Haba Games, one of their older family series of games, although depending on which one you pick up, you can honestly just play this with game night or anything. I don't know if it's family, kids. I'm getting distracted. The Key is a game in which the Key genre is a series of games which are trying to uncover mysteries. They use the same core engine. There's two of them over here. There are three, to the best of my knowledge at the moment. I believe they're already working on more, which is great because I want to see them up the difficulty level. But again, we'll talk about differences soon. Let's start off with Sabotage at Lucky Llama Land, one of the introductory ones in the series. And Ricky, do you want to explain the game?
Okay, basically, some people sabotage Lucky Llama Land. We know three people, three weapons, three rides. But we don't know who did what with what weapon.
That's unfortunate.
That's what we need to find out.
Oh yeah, we need to find out who did what when, because otherwise we won't be able to put them away for life for ruining the rides. Ruining the rides, I say. But the core concept, how do you actually go through the process of discovering? Okay, fine, so we know three people, three rides, three weapons, 3 days, whatever it is, we know all that. How do you actually find the networks?
Well, there are different colored cases. We're doing the orange case. See the orange key.
Yeah, each box comes with, I don't know if it's always the same number, I think it comes with like 9 different cases, just resulting in a different answer, because there is a definitive answer. There's an actual answer of, you know, this person sabotaged this ride on that day. We have those answers, we just don't know which one it is, and so every one of the 9 cases on these cards, 9 colors, correspond to a different solution. So you start by picking one of those colors, in this case, orange, and then once you have that color...
I'm going to choose this. Oh, that's probably a bad example. That's a bad example.
No, so you can start with that. We can start with that.
That's a bad example.
Fine, we can go to the next one. We'll come back to that one.
It's the exact same.
You can have another one. Excellent. Okay. A person with a visible tattoo sabotaged on the 8th. Okay, so that means these cards all have clues on them, and they're going to give us different clues on them, giving us different pieces of information. In this case, we know that one of the 2 people with a visible tattoo sabotaged on the 8th. Specifically, we know that the girl in the middle who does not have a visible tattoo, we know she did not sabotage on the 8th, which already gave us 1 piece of information. So using a little dry erase markers, we can mark off that information, marking off her as being not on the 8th is over here on the left. She is not the person on the 8th. There you go, exactly. And we also know that if you look at the front of this card, we have a few pieces of information to note. First of all, is the colors. This shows us which cases this clue is relevant to. This clue is relevant to any of those cases, or in this case, the yellow, the orange one we're playing right now. We also know that it's relevant to the 3rd ride, and it's relevant about the person. So it gives us a bit of information about, whenever you're looking at the clues on the table trying to figure out what to grab, you do have a bit of information about what the clue is relevant to. So for instance, if we know now something about that, maybe we also want to know something about the location and what weapon was used at a location. Let's go ahead and find that out.
And flippity. That was not used next to the freefall tower.
Oh,
okay.
So that means we have to start looking at the map. You see, each player is going to get one of these little pamphlets full of information, different stuff that you can utilize in the game, and each game will have different pamphlets with different pieces of information. They'll give you information about the suspects, information about the weapons, information about anything related to the case, the rides themselves, and they're always a little different. And in this case, we have a map. The map means that we look to see where the freefall tower is. The freefall tower is over here, and we know that the taser, or I guess it's a taser, the taser was not used next to the freefall tower, which means it was not relevant to the roller coaster. So the taser was not relevant next to the roller coaster. Why did you assume the roller coaster? Oh, you just drew lines. Perfect. Yeah, so Ricky went ahead and drew connecting lines on her board to start showing that we do know that the pliers or the knife are relevant to the roller coaster. So we got some information again. All these cards are going to constantly be giving you pieces of information. Now, in and of themselves, that's just a game of crossing things off. Where the game escalates is the fact that as you start getting pieces of information, if you start paying attention to your board, you may have uncovered something without actually realizing it. If you know that the person, you know, the woman with black hair did not sabotage on the 8th, and then later you find out that the person who was blonde did not sabotage on the, I don't know, the 5th or the 6th, suddenly we know that the blonde person sabotaged on the 8th, and the woman with the black hair might be the only person left on the 5th, and then you have all these pieces of information that start falling together. Now the goal of the game, we haven't really talked about this is not a cooperative game. This is a game where you're trying to be the person who not necessarily solved the case the fastest, that actually won't be the win, rather who solved the case the most efficiently. You see, every single card has a number a number on the card showing you how many points that piece of evidence is worth, and your goal is to solve the case with as few pieces of evidence as possible. Granted, the person who's the fastest does get to discard 1 card, so there's a small little perk for being fast. Although, practically speaking, we have seen people be wrong in this game plenty of times. We have seen people come up with the wrong answer at the end, so being fast is not worth it if you save yourself 2 points of evidence, but lose the entire case as a result. Now, once you have the answer, what do you do, Rix?
Then you basically basically, you see that I'm going to flip it over. That it has different things, and it says the order with a number next to each one. So let's say man attacked on the 5th, if brown woman attacked on the 6th, and the blonde woman attacked on the 8th, then the first number would be 6. You have this little thing down there where you can write that.
You'll follow the chain, the little thread down. You'll write a 6 there. You'll rinse and repeat with the other 2 boxes, which will ultimately give you a 3-digit code. And once you have the 3-digit code, Ricky, what do? You
take the key and you check it. So let's say, suppose the code is 346.
346. 346 is the answer. Here's the key. We need something else.
It exists.
Now, don't flip that over because I don't want to spoil things for people. But let's go ahead and find 346.
346 exists.
It's over here. At this point, what you'll do is you'll go ahead and flip this over, and we're not going to do it because we don't want to spoil it for you. But on the other side of this, you will see whether this code. On the other side of this, you will put the code in. You will flip it over, and you'll see whether that little box is in, and whether the orange key is in an orange box. Basically, it takes a single flip. You'll instantly see if you're right or wrong, and you can continue trying, although you've lost at this point, so there's no real point. But you could continue trying or whatnot, or alternatively, you actually did figure out the case. Meanwhile, you're doing this privately, so you're like, okay, great, I got it. And then other players can do it when they get it, and the goal of the game is basically to figure out the case, and ideally, figure out the case more efficiently than other players.
Yeah.
That's the key. Anything we're missing?
Not really. The one thing I did notice after a few times that I've played it, you know what type of clue you're getting. Like, for example, some clues are footprints, but I know this is a footprint because of that.
Really? Show it. Is it a footprint? Show it. Let's see the other side. Flip it. It's a footprint! Oh, it is a footprint. She's right. Good job. How do you know that? Wait, how do you know that? Oh, I totally missed that.
And this.
Oh, so there's more information.
This.
There's more information than I thought about this. They show different types. So there's all these different little clues. Sometimes there are factual things like we saw already. Other times, this footprint, for example, corresponds to the fact that you're going to be looking into your manual, and you'll be looking in the manual and trying to see which footprint matches. They all look good at first glance, but you need to figure out which one is slightly incorrect. And you usually, we're not going to do it. Usually you do it with the mirror itself by trying to reflect the footprint and find the small inconsistency. There's small things like that that often require a playthrough or two till you figure out what the puzzle is trying to do. But at a certain point, you've gone through the 10 to 12 tricks or so that they have in the game. What angle a picture was taken at, what was next to what ride, what footprint reverse situation goes on. This was done before that. That weapon was heavier than that. You'll find all the clue patterns. You'll start falling into simply a logic puzzle of, okay, well, if this is that and this is that, then it must be the blonde woman sabotaged the roller coaster with the taser on the 5th. And you'll have that information all wrapped together nicely. Now, the murder at the Hotel Club is the same basic idea. Although in this case, we know that a murder happened. It's a little more than sabotaging Rise. And we know what happened at the Hotel Club. And we have to figure out the people, the date, the weapon used, the location. And is it the location? I don't know if it's the location.
No.
The location, I think.
Location, person, weapon, and getaway ride.
And the getaway. It adds that 4th element. Now there's a getaway ride in play, which adds another full metric of trying to figure out how things connect, because you can start adding things like the person with the getaway, the person who used this weapon used that getaway car. The person who didn't use this weapon didn't use that day and didn't use that. It just adds a 4th element to the puzzle, or 5th element technically. But it further escalates that, which is why this one is ranked as more of a medium level. There's two beginners, I think it's called. What is it called in the box? What does it say? Beginner?
Starter.
Starter. There's 2 starter boxes. There's one medium box. I believe they're working on a harder box, which we'll further add. We don't have much to say about that. And that's the key, which means we can start diving into the review part of things. Ricky.
Yeah.
Starting off with ease of play. Ease of play. How easy is this game to learn and teach?
Pretty easy. Before Ava taught me a trick to keep track of your information. I was getting horribly stuck because I couldn't remember half my information, and it was a whole mess on my board, so I couldn't remember anything.
Yeah, sometimes pieces of information are as simple as circling or crossing things off, and that's pretty easy. But other times you're like, well, this was done with that, and you can either keep a stack of cards or keep some notes or start figuring out how to just draw lines. Your boards can get messy pretty quickly, but if you start figuring that out and come up with a system that works for you, then you can start tracking all the information you need. As far as table space, you're basically just dumping the cards in the middle of the table, and then each player gets that. Pretty easy. And as far as playtime, I find this generally comes in at around 25 to 30 minutes. It can range a bit if you drag it out a little bit.
A few hours.
A few hours? Did you say a few hours?
Sometimes.
There's never been a few hours.
One time, the game continued on.
Are you referring to the time where we put the game away to do something else and we came back the next morning and finished it? I don't know if that counts. We didn't put it away. We left the game on the table.
Yeah, one time I didn't finish playing.
I don't think that counts as a few hours, Ricky. I don't think that counts.
But sometimes you get really stuck and it's really late, then you just have to wait till morning.
In general, a game's going to run roughly the 30-minute range. In our case, one time, Ricky wanted to figure out what the puzzle was even after we had finished the game, and so we left it on the table and came back later. So I guess that session was several hours long, but I don't know if I'll count it. As far as player count, this is I think it's a 1 to 4 player game. I haven't played it solo. It's a 1 to 4 player game. I don't know anything about the solo mode. Honestly, it's just a logic puzzle, so you can sit down and try to figure it out on your own. I don't know what the scoring system is around solo because I haven't dived into it solo yet. I enjoy the competitive nature of it, trying to figure out the case, not necessarily faster, but just doing it right. Although in a weird way, the game actually scores you not based on speed, but based on how efficient you were with the cards. But I just tend to like trying to get it fast. You don't score points for that. I tend to like that. But yeah, it's a 1 to 4 player game. Interaction is practically non-existent. You're all doing your own thing, and then eventually just comparing notes on who won. Which brings us to what we like, didn't like, and can see others not liking. Ricky, what do you like about this game?
Well, first I would like to say that this one I don't like as much because you add a tons of extra information and they use military time.
They do use military time. Ricky is not a fan of military time.
No, but it's super confusing. One time they gave us a card that was 100% wrong and didn't work.
I don't know if that's true,
well,
but
it didn't help. All it did was make it worse.
Adding murder at the Oakdale Club added some new tricks because part of the concept of the game is they have certain patterns of how cards work and different elements going on. And murder at the Oakdale Club definitely threw a few twists our way as far as trying to figure out the pieces of information, the tie-ins between different pieces of information. I like the twist, but it definitely takes it up a notch. I would say like those rankings of medium and starter, those are on point. I think Sabotage Lucky Llama Land is very much a starter game. Solid puzzle. You can still get it wrong, even as whoever you are, you can definitely get it wrong. But I think definitely the medium level takes it up a notch. I'm very excited for the whatever advanced level is as well, but it is taking up a notch, so factor that in. But as far as what you like, that was completely unrelated. What do you like about the systems?
Oh, I like it. It kind of hurts me as someone who loves having cards in neat piles to have this. It kind of hurts me.
Are you including what you don't like in the what you like section?
Yeah.
What do you like about the game? What do you like about the game?
I like how it's like you have to like figure stuff out and connect it. I like how it's kind of like a connect the dots-esque thing, and I like how it's not. I like how it's not just an answer paper. I love who can actually like, stick the key in
That
the
is
hole.
fun.
It's very fun. It's very relishing. I also love that it's Lucky Llamas. I kind of like that theme.
For me, there's a few things. First of all, I like the fact that it's basically just a logic puzzle. I've always enjoyed those puzzles of, if Tom is taller than Harry and Harry's younger than Sally and Sally's mother is best friends with Tom's uncle, well then who ate 3 beans in the morning? I've made that up. None of that's actually true. But the general idea of these logic puzzles where you tie different lines together and have to find a common thread between them, I've always enjoyed that, and this is it in a game. That's the core concept of a logic puzzle into a game. It's not an escape room. It's not a mystery puzzle. It is basically a set of facts and logic that you have to find the thread of them. I deal as fast as possible, and I like the fact that the clues often give you, and more so than I even realized, I wasn't even looking at the pictures, but the clues give you clues to what that type of clue is, to give you what piece of information it has, which means you have a chance of saying, okay, great, I'm not just going to draw a random card. What I currently need to know is I currently need to know which weapon was used at which place. This card is going to be perfect for that. And so finding those cards and giving that extra piece of information is fun. I like the fact that it's a diverse set of clues in the way it's presented. Sometimes it's as simple as this was before that, that was after this, the weapon used here was heavier than that. Other times it's things like try to figure out the mirror reverse image of that footprint, and they give you those extra degrees of something going on in the game. Additionally, I do like the fact, and this is going to be a big concern for people, that in general, you have 9 cases here, which means people are going to look at this and say, well, what about the replayability? Once I play 9 cases, I'll remember it all. You won't. You won't. I guarantee you I could play the first case with Ricky right now, again, and she'd have no clue what was going on. She'd be like, okay, I guess we have to start from scratch because
this.
Yeah.
Because one time I saw it, I thought one color was here when really it was over here. It was like this lock.
Yeah.
Because it's super confusing because of how many math. Though, if you if you have photographic memory or are colorblind, this game is horrible.
That is true. I don't know if it's colorblind friendly in the typical sense, and photographic memory would potentially ruin it, but past that, it is repeatable. Like, I was planning on just going through the 9 cases and calling it a day, and now I'm like, I don't even remember which cases we were up to, nor do I remember what the answers were, so let's just play it. Let's just play it and have a good time and figure it out. I'm pretty sure I know some of the cases we've done. I don't know all of them. But we'll dive into it and we'll figure that out, but it definitely is replayable if you're concerned about that. Anything else on what we like before we move to what we don't like?
Oh yeah, I do like how like this put a little mirror thing and the weight and these little things. It gets rid of the boredom of just, okay, this happened, this happened, this and this not happened, this.
Yep.
And it gives it one like, but I also do like how even if you like try to remember, there's no way you can remember. If I have accidentally seen the back, and it looks like you know what it is, but really there's like three possible locks.
What do you not like? Should I start?
Oh wait, can I start? Well, I don't really like that you can't draw on these because it would be super helpful if you could.
Honestly, I haven't even tried. I assume you can't, but I haven't tried.
Yeah, but it's paper.
Yeah, I'm assuming you can't.
Not.
I would assume you cannot.
Probably not.
Yeah, for me, there's a few things. First of all, I do agree with Ricky on the general slight OCD around the pile. I can get over it, but I'm not even bothering to just leave these cards. If you're shoveling them in a pile like this, it is what it is. We'll deal with it. But you literally just dump them onto the table as people like root through trying to find the clue that's right for them. What I will say is sometimes, first of all, from a pure mechanical stance, not from an enjoyable of the experience stance, from a pure mechanical stance, sometimes you get pieces of information that are useless. Like, just literally useless. Meaning, you'll get a piece of information that says, you know, the person with black hair didn't murder on the 8th. And I'm like, okay, great, that's helpful. Mark it off. Then you get another clue that says, well, the person who doesn't have a visible tattoo didn't murder on the 8th. And you'll get, like, literally duplicate information phrased in a different way. The delivery might be different, but the exact piece of information might be the same, and that has happened to me, which means you just got a dead card that took up your time, it took up your points, and it didn't give you a single piece of useful information. Now, that doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. What is more common is because of the way you've unlocked information, you get duplicate information. Not through the fault of the game in and of itself, not through literally duplication, but rather to the fact that, okay, great, if I find out that the person with the black hair didn't do the murder on the 8th, and if I find out the person with the taser didn't do the murder on the 8th, and I know that the person with the black hair is the person with the taser, that's already duplicate information. But again, that's not the game's fault, that's just the nature of the beast, the fact that you're getting random pieces of information one at a time, and they will be useful in different ways. So that's certainly a concern from a mechanical standpoint, from a pure stance of who's winning and are they playing well or not. There's a degree of luck in the cards you draw. That's not why I play the game, so it doesn't particularly bother me, but it's worth noting as far as that. Anything you don't like?
Yeah, I'm not done though. I do agree with that. But sometimes I get other completely annoying information, like, okay, blonde woman did not sabotage on the 6th.
Yep.
Man sabotaged on the 6th.
Yeah, it's phrasing.
Like, completely different information, but it means the exact same thing.
That's what I mean, yeah, exactly.
Though I do like, though you have to be careful to the phrasing.
Yep.
Like, one time I got a card that said, like, log ride was sabotaged before bumper cars, though in that one I got blue car was used directly before red car. You have to be careful because one just said it happened before, but others say directly before.
Yeah, the other thing I would say is, while I very much give it as a pro, the fact that the cases aren't memorable in the sense that you can dive back into another case again, meaning you don't have that aspect of you only have 9 plays. The flip side and the direct counter to that is it doesn't feel like you actually have 9 unique cases. It feels like you just have the same case, just the same process in play. I don't feel like I'm playing a different case when I play the black case or I play the yellow case. They're the same case, just with different answers, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Again, it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it adds to the replayability. On the other hand, it takes away from the distinction any one case has. So it's a double-edged sword, a pro and a con there. As far as what you can see others not liking. Anything there?
I'm not really good at this section because it's always stuff that I also didn't like.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, what I can see others not liking is this is I find many of the puzzles, and this kind of Ricky touched upon when talking about the advanced one, some of the puzzles are not always immediately obvious. So you'll have these puzzles where, like, I mean, the one Ricky intentionally avoided where you have, like, these scraps of, I can't remember what it is, you have these scraps of costumes in here, and you have to try to figure out, the first time you encounter these, they can be frustrating. Because the first time you encounter these, you're trying to go through the game, you're playing with other people, you're trying to grab the cards you you need, and suddenly you get a new case type, and you're like, I don't know how to solve this case type because it's not obvious information. And you might have other players walk you through it, and it'll be fine the next time, but you can certainly have the first few times with certain types of information where it's a puzzle to dive into, and that might be slightly frustrating for some. And then otherwise, I'd say this is a logic puzzle. The same reasons why I like it, the same reasons why I enjoy diving into it, might be why you don't. This is not a thematic mystery. It's thematic to a degree, but it's not like a mystery or escape room or anything like that where there's these touches of obscure information. This is pure facts, pure logic. If that's not your cup of tea, this is not a game that will work for you. Which brings us to final thoughts and rating.
Yeah, though I definitely do agree with you on like the new case type, like the military time. I had never heard of this. I was like, what's that? You might have had to tell me. I never knew what that was.
The plus side is military time is.
Yes, at least I know this for when it comes up in history class.
Yes.
I know this.
So, final thoughts and rating, Rix.
I think my rating is a 4 because it's a really good game. But you have to know certain stuff and know how to like configure certain stuff in order to actually be able to play it. Because you just like don't. If you like don't really have the ability to like neatly pack information, then it's going to be super confusing and you're going to forget half your information. And sometimes you think cards contradict each other, like, oh wait, that contradicts that, because you like sometimes people like aren't really like word for word every single dot.
Yeah, makes sense.
Though my final thoughts would be, actually I don't have any final thoughts.
Yeah, for me, overall, I really enjoy the Key series. I find it offers different levels of accessibility, of difficulty to dive into. It offers, I mean, going from one to the other, I think is very much worth owning both. My biggest critique would be that the variability within each box, you're kind of playing the same case again and again and again. Again, it adds to replayability long-term, but short-term, I have less of an incentive to dive into it. Rating-wise, I'm going to give it the same as you. I'm going to give it a 4 with that caveat. With the caveat that I find successive plays of the same game multiple times in a row certainly do decrease. I'm happy to pull out the key and play it any time, but I'm less in a rush to play 3 games in a row over the period of the same week because I'm playing the same basic engine, the same basic game. I'm very happy to dive into 3 different versions of the key in the same week. So very much a 4 in the general experience, with the caveat that I like pacing out my plays, because past my initial plays where I dived into it a bunch in a row, I have since found that I like pulling it out, getting a logic puzzle in, putting it away, and coming back a week and a half, 2 weeks later. I definitely don't want to rattle through a bunch of these. But overall, really enjoy this one. This is from Hava Games. I really do want to pick up that 4th advanced one whenever they come out with it, because I very much want to see how the game continues to escalate. As far as other game recommendations, first of all, if you like games like this, despite me saying they're not exit rooms or escape rooms, all that, I do highly recommend the Unlock series. If you like this idea of trying to figure things out, although if you want to do it with a collaborative spin, the Unlock series will give you that. And then if you want something as well, similarly, the Exit series is again another series of escape room games. What are you looking at?
I see one right there.
You see one what? Unlock?
Unlocked.
Yeah, that's the one we finished. That's the last one we
Yeah,
finished.
super confusing one.
Super confusing, but this is not a review of the Unlock
I know.
series.
Well,
Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
And I'm Ricky.
And have a good one.